Thanks for having
Thanks
us
for having us.
today.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Like Arlen said, this is Choose Your Own Adventure. We are Harvard Community Unit District 50, and let's get this all started. So I'm John Hummel. I'm the Director of Technology for District 50, and with me today is Dr. Vicki Larson, our Assistant Superintendent. But this all happened because we are a group called our District Instructional Team, and everybody else on that screen is who helped us in this amazing process that we're going to go through today.
So I just want to start out by just talking a little bit about Harvard Community Unit School District 50. If you haven't heard of Harvard, we are about 7 miles south of the border from Wisconsin, so on the Illinois-Wisconsin border. Our district is a pre-K 12 district along 5 buildings. We service about 2,700 students, and roughly we have a little over 400 staff members. And we have a really diverse community, which is one of the greatest things about being here in Harvard. Our district is really focused on dual language programming. Our one-to-one computing obviously was very important in this last year as we've moved into virtual teaching. We have advanced building trades curriculum, modern STEM classes, a high school business incubator, and lots of summer programs. One of our greatest excitements this year throughout the pandemic was being voted the McHenry County top workplace to work in as in a school district. So we're really proud of that. And I think that just kind of speaks to what our school district is focused on. Our hashtag is Harvard Rising. We're always looking to be on the cutting edge and looking for ways to continue to be the best and, you know, learn new things and build our capacity within our schools. So as John talked about the CYOA, or as we call it, Choose Your Own Adventure, you know, the why behind it. And this kind of has evolved over the past year. And so initially, it really started because of the pandemic, and we were in this virtual setting, and we were trying to determine how can we best support our staff and students in this virtual model. And we had some experienced teachers that really did online learning in the summer. And they wanted to share all of the great things that they learned through the process in the summer, different tech strategies, tools. And so that's kind of how we started. We said, well, what are the things that we can do to help our staff grow with our internal staff? So we started setting up these PD through Zoom live. We just started to recruit staff members that we knew that were really good in Google Classroom or how they could use some specific tool. We really begged, pleaded, and borrowed on our instructional coaches, like, come on, you want to present to your staff members, and really just kind of create this environment of learning. We were all doing a lot of new learning together this past year, and how to use, how to engage students in the remote setting and the virtual learning. So after we started doing that, and we really started on a weekly basis. So how our schedule was set up this past year was Wednesdays in the afternoon. We're remote, well, we were all remote, but it was asynchronous learning, so staff could really learn together. And so every Wednesday we would start offering Choose Your Own Adventure. So we'd offer different live classes, PD from colleagues. We got great feedback, and so that's when we started to say, oh my gosh, we need to kind of really build upon this. And we started by looking at what was our instructional framework and our goals of the district. So we have what's called a BHAG, and many of you probably have heard of that terminology, big, hairy, audacious goal. We had to kind of really look it up. It's from Jim Collins, and it was from a 1994 book, but that's kind of where the phrase was coined. But we utilize that really to focus on what is our long-term district goals, and what are the things that we are doing in our district to always build upon those goals. So we have said by December of 2026 that we're going to be a model PLC district. We'll have avid demonstration schools. Over 50% of our graduates will earn their seal of bioliteracy, and 98% of our students will graduate. And on top of all of that, our ultimate goal is always to have that happen through the efforts of deliriously happy people working in modern 21st century learning spaces. So everything that we do within the district in terms of PD initiatives has to really be focused around these goals. And so when we started looking at our choose your own adventure topics, we decided we really need to kind of focus on strands. And so what we've come up with are, these are the strands that are really key to meeting those goals. So you can see we have a bilingual and dual language strand. What are the PDs that are going to best help our bilingual and dual language programs? Climate, culture, and wellness. So as you see that we believe in having deliriously happy people working collaboratively together. Our educational support staff. So it's really important for us in the district that we're not just talking about our teachers or our certified staff, we're talking about everyone, our custodians, our secretaries, our bus drivers. How are we engaging them in being professionals and expanding their capacity and their knowledge? Instructional strategies. What are the instructional strategies that are going to engage our students the most? And then also instructional technology. We also have an international teacher, Spanish strand. So those are really our visiting teachers who come from Spain or Puerto Rico. There's a lot to learn when you're coming from a different country besides just all of these strategies. There's just a whole different culture to build upon. Our professional learning communities and our professional growth. So when we're looking at our topics and our focus for our choose your own adventure PD sessions each week, we would really look at our strands and make sure that we were focusing a couple of these sessions each week fell into these strands. All right, so you're going to kind of see us evolve into how we got involved with ELN with our choose your own adventure. So when we first started, kind of gave you the background, we started weekly every Wednesday afternoon, and we would offer several opportunities. We tried to keep like 8 to 10 different sessions throughout the afternoon that teachers and staff could choose what best fit their needs. And so how we would set that up was we would use Lucid Press. I don't know if you're experienced with that, but it's just, a newsletter kind of looking document. We would put the title in it, the intended audience, and then we would create Zoom links for each session. And usually we asked the teachers who are presenting, can you create a Zoom link? Send it to me. I would copy it, put it in there. And our DIT that we talked about at the beginning really kind of sat, and it was driven by our DIT. What are the things that we think our staff needs the most at the beginning, and focus on that. We would then send out an email reminder, like here are the links. Sometimes we would find that, oops, Vicki forgot to link the links. And then I'd get emails like, I see the link, but it's not opening. So there was some little, learning experiences throughout that process. So this is kind of what was happening at the beginning. As we continued through the fall, each week, we would send a survey to the staff after. One, they would give us feedback about the process, the feedback about the time frames, the topics, and then we would ask them, what are you looking for in PD? And then also, are you willing to share your knowledge with colleagues? So it was really important for us to hear from all of the staff, what was important for them, what they felt they needed, on top of what they could give back to their colleagues. I'm trying to think. We have, and I meant to really look at how many teachers have been involved, but we have a significant amount of teachers that have done week on end. Every week they would present, they get excited about it. We reach out personally and say, hey, I know you did a great job on this, like on a CAMI, can you show that to other people? And, it was kind of our goal as administrators to really build confidence in teachers who we knew were doing amazing things, but maybe were a little shy or not feeling confident enough to present. And we'd say, it's easy, it's informal, it's Zoom, it's with your colleagues. And they learned quickly that it was just so meaningful to have conversations with staff, with their colleagues. They would learn, maybe they would bring an idea, and through that, they even furthered their own learning. So it has been a really great experience that it's evolved into. John, you're going to say something?
Well, I was saying that the whole process really was just, it was amazing to start off where it was, maybe I would do something on how to organize your Google Drive. It was really the administrators kind of trying to help with those issues we're having right then, but then having all these teachers come and staff members say, hey, I want to talk about this. We'd offer them the opportunity to say, what do you like? And then, did you want to teach something or show people this? And we just got tons of people asking us to do it. And as you can see on the one of the screens here, we also, we recorded each of these sessions and we put them on a Google Sheet or Google Doc for them to then go back and be able to rewatch these recordings. But the process itself was, it was getting a little cumbersome for us. Mm-hmm. You ready for me to talk about how we moved on?
Yeah.
So you can see when we started with the Lucid Press, it was nice. We had to send out an email on like the Friday before, and then again on the Tuesday. If we had so many sessions that it went to a second page in the PDF, many people didn't know there was a second page in the PDF, and so they wouldn't click on those links to go to those sessions. So we thought, there's got to be some other better way to do this. We did provide a link to the recordings on these PDFs, but that, it's not as apparent that it's there. Some people didn't know where to go, and then you have to go try to find this Google Doc in your drive that has all the links to all the recordings. So we said, you know what, we are already utilizing ELN for our mandated trainings, and it can do so much more. And so that's kind of where we transitioned to say, you know what, let's try something new. And that's where ELN came into play here. They have the ability to not only create courses and programs, but also to schedule the live training. So you may be used to utilizing the programs and having it for your mandated trainings, or maybe you do have some courses you might have created in ELN, but not many people had even delved into the live training portion. So we were kind of out there and just trying and failing as we went along, but in the end, it kind of worked out for us. What was nice about the live training was that we could have it out there, and you can see on the screen here, we could set up what the training was going to be about. We got a little bit of a description there. It's easier to see than on the PDF. It's right there for you. Your intended audience is there, and then you have multiple sessions that might be available. And what's cool about when you create ELN sessions is that you can set the different times for the sessions, you can set the different speakers, and then if you have a link, like a link to a Zoom link or another type of webinar platform, it has it all in there for you to choose. So you can have the same link for each session, so if that's easy, but if somebody gave you a separate link for each one of their sessions, you can put each one of those links in the session, and so it's there. When somebody registers for this event, they're going to have a link right to that Zoom. What's also cool about it is when you do register for one of these events, it goes into your calendar. So like you get an email reminder that you've registered for it. Then if you click on the email, you can click on a button that sends it to your Google Calendar. So you have everything right there. You have the email, you have the Google Calendar. It's in your ELN. When you've gone in there, it's going to be in your My Learning. So it's really helpful for organizing, because though we sent out many reminders about what's coming up, if you didn't put something in your calendar for the time that you wanted to attend a session, you might not have remembered. Then you have to go back and make sure you're clicking on the correct link, because a lot of times that would be the problem too, is you'd click on the one above instead of the one you were trying to go to, and now you're attending another amazing PD session, but it wasn't the one you wanted to go to. So it was nice to be able to go into ELN and have all that stuff organized for you. So when we first started it, we'd create the session in there, and then like when you're using the other programs, you can assign it to groups of people or individuals. And so that was really like the only way to get it into people's hands was to try to assign it to everybody. So we'd have 10, 8, 10, 12 courses, not just sessions, but courses available, live training sessions. And I'd have to go in there and add all the groups. I'd have to look at the intended audience and say, okay, well, this is not going to be for the grade schools, so I'm just going to assign it to the high schools. And it was a lot of work on that end just to do it. And when you assigned it, if you didn't make it required, it didn't show up in their ELN, like under My Learnings. It showed up further down under recommended learnings, and they also wouldn't receive an email. So we would still have to remind them, hey, make sure to go into ELN, and then you can check your recommended sessions and see what's there. I mean, it was okay, but there was still something missing, and so we started trying. The next week we decided to make them all required, and then everybody would get the email, but then you'd also be like, oh, do I have to take this? There's multiple sessions at this certain time. I'm kind of confused. You're saying it's required, but is it not required? So that's when we realized, you know what, there's even something better inside ELN that could help us with that. And that was the creation of a program. So inside ELN, you can create courses, you can create live trainings, you can create programs, you can do checkpoints, which is not something we're dealing with today. But the nice thing about programs was that you create this program, and then I assign all of the live trainings into the program. And so all that has to happen is for you to register for this program. So what I did was we started that week and we added all the trainings they could see in the background. And then I go into the program and I add in all of the trainings into that program. And now the program acts as its own individual thing. So you can add people, you can add groups just like I could in the individual, or I could just say, hey, everybody, log into ELN and you'll now see something in your recommended. Okay, you'll see something in your recommended, and it's just one thing. It's just one thing you'll see there. So go down and you can click on, I'm going to enroll in this program. So now what was nice is now they can go into this program, and when they get in there, they see all of the live trainings that are available to them, and they can just click register from right here. So they're no longer looking at all the different emails. They're going into the one program and then clicking on the different sessions that they want to take. They can register for it and they can choose which session they want to take. One thing we did learn was that if you wanted to go to both sessions, you couldn't. So what you could do is you could take the first session, wait for it to end, and then register again for that session, and then you'll be able to go into the second one. So I guess we have some recommendations maybe for the Bridge platform to allow for multiple registrations, but having this option now made it so much easier. And what was better was that once you've registered for a program, you stay registered in that program until you've completed the program. And with live trainings, you never actually can complete it because you're not going to all of them. You don't need to go to all of them. And so what we would do then is, instead of creating a new program each week, what I would do is I just remove the live trainings, add in the new ones for the new week. And whenever I add in a new one and I click save, you got an email right away that this new training has been added to your program. And so you did get an email then for all the ones that are in there, and you can click on there and register, but then you also can go in and see your program, and it's available to you right in ELN, right in My Learning, right up front. It's like right there. You can't miss it once you've enrolled in it. And by now we actually, and it was never like, this whole idea of choose your own adventure was never you need to do it. It was, we are providing you this opportunity to learn because we have this, we're never going to have this kind of opportunity again where we have all this time to make available to you. So we were able to set that up and give you this opportunity and not make it required. And still I had, as of today, 224 people actively chose to register for the program itself, which is nice because then they all got the notifications whenever we added something new, and they can easily get in there. It didn't stop people from joining the sessions though. You didn't have to join the program. I mean, it was easier for you to do that, but you could go to the live trainings. And what was cool is that once you go in to ELN and you click on, there's like a training calendar at the top, you'll see the different trainings that are available for that day. So you didn't have to join the program. You didn't have to wait for an email. You could go in there and see, okay, then the 24th, all of these sessions are available. I can just click on here and you'll be able to click on a registration button just like that. So there was multiple ways for people to register for these courses and sessions, and none of it was like forced on them. It was just available to them. And we have had it available in just a document before, but having it available in ELN just really simplified the process and made it just easier. I mean, when you see what people said after we started this, it was just amazing.
And it's just it's a better way to track even our staff's PD hours. It's lessening the amount of paperwork that we're doing, and it's really just going to be all organized in one area. With they're used to it, like John said, to use it for our mandated trainings. So it just really made sense for us to put this all together. That these are really important PD opportunities for staff, whether it's live or go back and watch it recorded, or use those recorded videos at PLC meetings with your teams to say like, hey, I remember there was a recording about this AVID strategy. Let's review that as a team and then talk about it. So these recordings and courses can be utilized in so many ways moving forward.
Right, I forgot to even say that, because we utilize DLN for, sorry, my lights turned off. It look like I'm sitting in a cave here. There we go. We utilized it for our mandated trainings, and you can track who has taken it and who has not. So you can kind of make sure we're keeping up with our requirements. And then the same thing happens in the live and the recorded trainings. You can see who registered for it. So you see how many people are going to be there, so you can prepare for, okay, we're now going to have 30 people in this session. Let's make sure we cover what we need to cover. But then you can see who registered for it but didn't actually show up, all that kind of stuff, just so you have that kind of information. Because when we first started, we were trying to create lists and maybe send out spreadsheets to let us know that you did attend to the thing. And we do send out surveys afterwards letting us know, and so we can hand out CPDU and stuff like that, or PDHs. But it has it all inside ELN. And so you saw before, we had just that Google document that was for all the past recordings. Well, we decided to take that a little further too. So I loved how programs worked with the live training. And I said, why can't we do that for our recorded trainings as well? So what we did to start out, it's just to start right now, we took all of our recorded videos from each one of the sessions and we threw them into a course. And in the course, we provided any supplemental documents that were given out at the training, and then also a survey for receiving their professional development credit. But then they could register for these programs now and have access to 42 of our previous sessions. And you can see when you go inside a program, you can just click on whichever one you want and see how long is it going to be. You got an hour meeting on this one. But then you can earn your credit after the fact, or just come back later. So you can, you really like that live training, but you forgot what they said, or you wanted just to see it again. It's all here at your fingertips inside ELN. You just have to go to the My Learning and enroll in the Choose Your Own Adventure PD part, not the Choose Your Own Adventure Live part, and then you have access to it. And right now, I think we have about 70 active participants who have taken part in joining the program. But again, just because it's in a program doesn't mean you can't access it. So we do have people still just searching. And if you filter inside ELN, you can filter by your school and choose the Choose Your Own Adventure courses that have already been gone through and just take them from there. So I mean, just having it like that made it just so much easier and easier going forward, because though it's in a program here, it exists. And so, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but going forward, we might utilize something in here for a bigger program for onboarding and something like that.
So one of the things, was just the feedback from our staff. That was really important for us to hear back from all staff members on the content of our CYOA PD, and also just our platform and just the streamlining of it. And you can see some of the comments in regards to specifically to the ELN platform was they like the email reminders. It works great, and it's a great place to keep things centralized. Easy to access. I like that it tracks my PD hours. I like the fact that you register for a session, it automatically syncs to my Google Calendar. So I think that, and I say this all the time, right? Change is always a little difficult at the beginning, but our staff has been so wonderful in that understanding where we want to go, and they see the benefit, and they understood, like, this is exciting, like we're getting all of this PD. Normally you're sending people out to PD or you're bringing speakers in, but this, we're like, we have such great talent within in our system. Let's share. There are great things happening across the hallway. How can we share that? There's great things happening in other buildings. How can we share that? And just this platform that we found, obviously through the pandemic kind of pushed us this way, but it really has enhanced our PD opportunities for all staff. So, and then ELN has just really helped streamline and really organize all of those sessions, which has been great. We also asked for comments, like I said earlier, about our sessions, our content. We ask about, how was the presenter? And so, we have lots of great comments there. Everyone does a great job. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Laura Cardosi is one of our teachers who's done multiple PD sessions, sharing what she knows, facilitating great conversations. And she shared that the most exciting part of leading a training was just being able to teach her colleagues about new things that she was able to learn. And she was one of our summer school teachers, so she was kind of on that front line of trying something new virtually at the beginning. So just kind of being vulnerable with your colleagues was a really great thing. And we're so thankful for all of our staff members who kind of moved outside their box to share with others. Staff members talk a lot about how they're just so impressed about the content that their colleagues are providing. And I think that just goes to show that building our capacity in-house is just as important as sending out PD opportunities and bringing in big name speakers.
Right, and just to reiterate this, what's nice is that it was all just in one place now.
Yeah.
Like it's not a document here or a PDF there, and then you got to take mandated training over here, utilize ELN, and everything is just in one location. We know if it's professional development related, you're going to ELN.
So I talked at the beginning, like, about how this kind of started, the why. I mean, we believe in PD, we believe in building capacity. That's our number one thing. And kind of how we ended up in this virtual platform, obviously, is probably similar to all of yours. We're in the pandemic. What do we do? How are we interacting with each other? How are we creating our professional learning communities? And we started in the fall providing virtual PD live and recorded on a weekly basis, so every Wednesday. We then reflected as we went into second semester, and we took a step back and said, let's go every other Wednesday, because we obviously knew moving forward, we wanted to continue this platform and this program, but we knew that we probably wouldn't be able to do it on a weekly basis once we were back in person with students all the time. So we kind of went, reflected, and then second semester we started every other Wednesday. So as we look forward to the future, in terms of what does Choose Your Own Adventure look like in our district and the use of ELN, we're going to continue to use as our platform. And as John kind of mentioned, and our next step is kind of working on checkpoints through some of our recorded sessions. But one of the things that we're really focused on are those strands. And we kind of covered that a little briefly about all the different strands, but really building each of those strands in the content PD that we have, and then utilizing that. So for example, when we onboard new staff in the fall, we're already identifying what are some PD opportunities that we offered that are recorded that we can even provide in a flipped kind of situation. So for instance, we use Clever as a platform for our resources. So is there a video resource that we've already created to send out to our new staff members? Like, okay, you're going to watch this and get prepared for our first meeting. So we're creating these strands to help build those capacities even before our staff come in. We're going to continue with our monthly in-service. So we have the fortune to have a once a month in service early release day. And so we're going to continue doing this format. We're going to do in-house PD through Choose Your Own Adventure, having a variety of sessions, topics, and in-house colleagues training other colleagues. So that has been really successful, and we're going to continue to build off of that. It may look different. We may be continuing with some virtual Zoom PD, and we may have some in-person PD. So, but we'll still continue to use the ELN platform for that. The other area we've touched on a little bit is just all of that recorded professional development hours. So one of the things that teachers always say to us, like, oh my gosh, it's really hard to pick sometimes. You have 3 great sessions at 3 o'clock. How am I supposed to pick one? And I'd say, remember, they're all recorded. So you can go live to one, and then in your free time or next week, you can go back to those recorded sessions, and you can still earn your PD hours, whether you're watching it live or recorded. So I think, just building up our recorded professional development library is going to be really important for us. And then lastly, our professional learning community. So our teachers work with their teams vertically and horizontally on a weekly basis. And so utilizing some of those PD opportunities, we have lots of videos that might be a quick video, and then the PD was really furthering in facilitation and conversation and the how-to, and let's give some examples. Those are great topics for professional learning communities within your team, like a team meeting. Let's talk about this strategy. I remember our instructional coach doing that. Let's bring it, and just really facilitating some great discussions and furthering experiences and knowledge. So we're really looking forward to how we're going to continue our Choose Your Own Adventure through the ELN process. But overall, the whole purpose is just building capacity of our teachers to engage students, building our teachers to be leaders. I think that's just really our goal. Our end goal for CYOA through ELN is just to build capacity. Those are a lot of letters just saying CYOA through ELN, but that it's been just a really exciting journey this year, working with ELN, working with our district instructional team and our teachers, just kind of build this great professional development opportunities in our district.
And the nice thing about the ELN, because like you said, we may have some live, actually like physically live training. We can still use the live training registration, because you can put in locations. So we can say, it's going to be at the high school in room 202. So you still have that on your calendar, so you know exactly where you're supposed to be going. There might not be a Zoom link this time, but you know exactly what's going to happen next. So
that was a lot of information. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time. And we, John and I would be happy to review anything or answer any questions about specifically our PD program, specifically about how we've done ELN, any questions you may have.
Yeah, feel free to type into the chat or the Q&A, and we'll make sure to get all the questions addressed. I did want to remind our participants that anyone with a group, whether it's a school or a district, can use Ed Leaders Network in this same way. They can replicate what you're doing. And the platform is free to Illinois public school educators. So you guys aren't paying for ELN, and you're getting to put your professional development there. And I just thought it would be good to remind everybody that there's nothing special about your manager access or login. Anybody who's got a user group in the system, whether it's a school or a district, can replicate this Choose Your Own Adventure model of professional development.
And it really, it's so simple to use. Actually, if you don't mind, I can show really quick just how quick it is to make like a training. You come in here, you give in your topics, you give your descriptions, and then you add your sessions, and you choose the date, time, location, and then different web formats. So, I mean, we use this when because we had some sessions that were allowed for outside resources. So you'd go to somebody else's site to watch a video. And so we just used the other, and then I put in the web address for it. So it was still able to just utilize ELN to get the information, and then it sent you somewhere else. So it's just so easy. And then once you create a session, once you've published it, you can click duplicate, and then it just changed the time. So everything you put in there is already there, and you just put a new time in. Now you got a whole new session. It was just so easy to use.
That's the easy part. Then you have to recruit your teachers to create the actual PD.
Right.
Okay, we had a question come into the Q&A here from Lauren. She says, any tips on encouraging staff to present?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was really, I mean, you have to know your staff, right? And really identifying who is strong in certain things and really just reaching out to them. I think, initially we started as a DIT team, reaching out to staff and encouraging them, like, you're going to do a great job. I'd be happy to co-present with you. And normally people are like, okay, I'll try, if they bring a friend along or know someone's going to do that, they would. But then even when we started surveying staff and saying, what would you feel comfortable doing? Even if it doesn't have to be an hour session. We would say, like, is it a 30-minute session, 45-minute, hour, and just kind of encouraging. And I think the more you recognize and highlight people individually and really say that they're doing a great job and they really should share with others, they will. I mean, I think, people really enjoy being recognized and getting those kudos.
A question from Amanda, do you have to sign up a group like a school to create the programs or courses? And I can answer that one and let you guys do any follow-up. You do have to have at the very least your school uploaded. Now, for Harvard, they've got the full district, and that's great. At each school site is a manager who can create programs and courses, and at the district level is a manager who can create programs and courses. But you do have to have a group to get that manager role, because otherwise you would be creating courses for nobody to be assigned to. So at the very least, you've got to have your school in the system.
Yes, but you don't have to assign the courses to anybody. They can actually search for them and join the courses themselves. But it is nice to be able to say, you know what, I'm creating this course for our brand new teachers, so I'm going to assign it to all the new teachers so that they are required to take this, this activity that we want to have them do.
Amanda had a follow-up. How do you get your school into the system? Very simple, Amanda. If you type your email address into the chat or the Q&A, I can send you the spreadsheet that you use to upload. And a follow-up question for Amanda is, are you an Illinois public school educator? And is your learning community also a public school in Illinois? But it's very easy. There's a simple spreadsheet. You put in first name, last name, email address, district, school. If you have their IEIN numbers, that helps us as well. But so Amanda, if you type your email address to me in the chat, I will send you that spreadsheet so you can get started.
And I also threw in the chat our Prezi presentation, so you go ahead and you can click on that and watch it later.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Amanda. Well, I'll follow up with you, and any questions you have, you can just keep them with me unless they're for John or Vicki. But it's very easy. We do the uploading here, and we send out the welcome emails, and it's got links to the support page where you can watch some video trainings to get your staff up to speed. So it's very easy to get onboarded with Ed Leaders Network.
John is going to fix the Prezi access.
Yes. Yep.
I'm just saying he's going to. I don't know if he is, but I'm just delegating that to you.
That's a live delegation right here in the middle of your webinar. That's great.
Well, again, thanks. John and I are, like I said, happy to answer any questions. Feel free to contact us if you have any specific questions about how we've done things. We're happy to help.
New question came into the Q&A. Do you ever feel like you run out of ideas or things are disjointed? Recommendations for streamlining based on topics.
Yeah, so when we started in the fall and we were doing every single week, so our DIT would meet, we meet weekly, and we were like, sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do for next week? We don't really have any presenters. People are feeling a little overwhelmed now. There's a lot of those things going on. That was one of the reasons why we then in second semester moved to every other week, because we didn't want to overuse our presenters. You know, there are some go-to people, our instructional coaches, some of our team leaders, our avid team leaders, they were a lot of our go-to people, and we didn't want to make them feel overwhelmed. But when we talk about streamlining based on topics, that's where our, now I just lost my train of thought there. Our strands are really key important. And because those are aligned with what our district overall goals are, that we wanted to make sure we would always look at our weekly lineup and say, okay, is there sessions for everyone? And sometimes you'd be like, oh my gosh, there's not a session for our pre-K staff. And then we go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's go back to surveys. You know, what is it that they're looking for? We've emailed their staff directly and said, hey, we haven't really gotten any feedback on what you're looking for in PD, and really just trying to create a plan around the needs of each employee group. And so it was really important to us that when we were looking at that every employee group was covered in terms of having some type of PD, and that all of the PD fell into what we found were our important strands to meet our goals. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that was great, Vicki. Thank you so much. Looks like John got the Prezi fix too. I just tried the new link in chat. So if you're trying to get to the slides, click on John's latest link, and that should take you to the Prezi, and it's open. You don't have to log in this time, which is great.
Yay. And I think, I don't know if you answered this or not, Vicki. Alexander asking if he can connect with us. Yep.
Yeah.
Connect with us anytime.
I was in the middle of texting back.
Yeah, if anybody wants any help with the ELN side of things, you can come in my direction. The instructional, getting teachers to do what you want them to do is Vicki's side of things.
And John, I had a quick question. What made you think that Ed Leaders Network could be the platform you could use for something like this? What was your first tip that this was the right place for this?
I've been trying to get ELN into any district I was in since like 5 years ago. When I think when you guys first started out, I brought it to my last district for mandated trainings, and then I brought it here too. But I would always been playing around with the course creation, and then right when I started, I wanted to put all of our professional development in ELN just because it was so easy to track, see who is in there, who needs to take it. You can have certificates, you can have quizzes in there to see how well they learned, and they have to earn a certain percentage to earn their certificate for the course. And then kind of with thinking about that, I saw that there was a live training option. I said, you know what, let me just play around with that. And when I realized that it was doing everything we were doing on the PDF, but better, I just took off with it.
That's wonderful.
I mean, so streamlined. And I think, you know, John kept bringing it to our team, you know, we kept talking about it. And I think we were all a little nervous to take the jump to it. Like, oh gosh, it's another change during a really stressful time, you know, can we do it? But we just said, yes, we're going to have to do it. This is a great time, you know, halfway in between the year, you know, coming into the second semester, let's do it. And it was great. I think it's been less stressful for the team who is organizing it all and putting it all together. And it's just more streamlined.
And is there anything? Oh, go ahead, John.
I say it took a little bit to get all the past recordings in, you know, because we've got 40 something more recordings in there. But going forward now, it's a super simple process. And we also have a template set up for creating like more robust courses too. So, you know, it took a little bit building up, but, you know, now moving forward, we're set to go.
Wonderful.
So Alexander has a question that actually I asked before we started our recording about, you know, and this is free for Illinois. How is this possible? Because my question before we started the webinar was, I'm a little skeptical. Like, if we're presenting on how great this is, are you going to now turn around and charge us for all these services? And the answer was no.
No, that's right. You can thank the Illinois State Board of Education. They started about 4 years ago paying for all public school educators in the state of Illinois to get free access to Ed Leaders Network. So you've got them to thank. It's a grant that we apply for every year. And they really have been satisfied with the numbers that they're seeing. We've got 95,000 Illinois educators in the system now, and the usage and the ability for people to complete state mandated trainings on an annual basis in the system. So they're very happy, we're very happy, and we looked for this to continue for a long time.
Now, we had a question about, do we give our staff CP to use based on completion? So yeah, we actually have, what's nice about it, if they're in registered, we know that they attended the live session, but if they are doing the recorded session, we still have a survey afterwards. We can see whether they did the recording as well, but then they fill out the same kind of evidence of completion survey and form that you would get for any other kind of conference. We're working on streamlining that process too.
Yes, and Ed Leaders Network offers PD hours for the content that we generate on the site as well. The only caveat to that is some of the medical mandated trainings like bloodborne pathogens, diabetes. We have been advised by ISB not to offer PD hours for the medical mandates. They feel like that doesn't contribute directly to professional learning or student achievement. So those are worth 0 hours, but you can get them completed, they're mandated. So it's a nice way to knock those things out and then still have professional learning happen on Ed Leaders Network. And you'll see, I'm going to send an evaluation for this webinar. And after you complete that evaluation, you'll get sent the ISB evidence of completion form. We use the same model with the on-demand content on ELN. It's as simple as filling out the evaluation and getting that evidence of completion form back.
And that's something we kind of showcase to our staff too, is that not only is our stuff in there, but if you want professional development hours, there's tons of courses that are available to you just to take. It's not even the mandated training stuff. It's, you know, there's a lot of interesting courses that are available in there for credit hours.
Absolutely. Yeah, we try to add a couple new courses each month to the system. They're all video based now. We used to use PowerPoint and voiceover recording, but now we use all video on a green screen, and we bring in animation and text and graphics to the video. So it's pretty interesting stuff, and it's easy to platform to learn on. It's not boring at by any means. Okay, I don't see any other questions. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that was great. Oh, there's someone who has their hand raised. I don't know if we can do anything about that.
If you do have your hand raised, type into the chat or Q&A. Oh, Cassie's got a Q&A. So would everyone in ELN have access to the district's PD? Would that mean to Harvard's PD, Cassie? Is that what you're asking?
Outside yeah, so she's saying is our stuff available to them?
Mm-hmm.
So it is possible for you to see the courses created by Harvard and assign them. They're not in the learning library by default, so you would have to have a group in there and you could see them. We're trying to work with our learning management system on this, but you can see the courses that Harvard has created and assign them to your staff. So it is possible for districts to share courses and trainings that they've created if they're interested in, but it's not going to be in the default learning library. You'd have to be a manager, you'd have to go into the author tab, and you'd have to assign it to your school or district.
That would be such like a great experience, I think, if there was other districts doing this kind of same platform and sharing PD, I think would be wonderful.
Yeah, that's always been our dream for Ed Leaders Network, is to be able to statewide share trainings, good material that people are creating, be able to share that statewide. And you guys have created a ton of content. I haven't even had time to look at all of it that you have created there to Harvard. But yeah, if there's pieces that you think would be applicable to other school districts in the state, we should talk about that, about bringing that into the learning library and let other schools and districts access it.
So right now, an individual person logging in, they will not be able to find any of our courses, but a author could go in and assign it to a group of or to individuals. Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, knowing that is also why in some of my videos, I did redact any kind of student information from the videos. So that's something to keep in mind if it's going to be available to other people, is to make sure there's no sensitive material in your videos.
Absolutely. All right, it looks like we've addressed all the questions. Yeah, good comments there in the chat. This has been recorded. I'll be processing that recording later today and sending an email out to everyone who registered tomorrow with a link to the recording. a link to the evaluation so you can get your PD hours, and I'll include a link to the Prezi that was used as well so that people can get to that. Oh, I see Joe Tomlinson has his hand raised. Joe, if you've got a question, feel free to type it into the chat. And we can hang out here for the next couple of minutes, but I'm going to stop the recording.
Great. Thank you, everyone.